Times Radio sponsors TalkTV weather.
They discovered some white powder in the White House. Apparently the hazmat-suited search party were heard to shout, "We found cocaine!" And then somebody went, "Yeah, wasn't Hunter here at the weekend?"
Yeah. And good afternoon, 0344 499 1000. Lots to wade through on the programme. Coming up this hour, the battle in the Channel continues.
Today, we've taken our cooperation to an unprecedented level to tackle this shared challenge. We're announcing a new detention centre in northern France, a new command centre bringing our enforcement teams together in one place for the first time, and an extra 500 new officers patrolling French beaches.
So what happened to that detention centre? Today, the EU has rejected Britain's attempts to create a new migrant returns agreement, which Rishi Sunak had hoped would tackle the small boat crisis. Should the UK now ignore this ruling and simply turn those boats back? And how the heck would you do it anyway? Details in a few moments. In other news and related to all matters European,
the total number of votes cast in favour of leave was 17,410,742. This means that the UK has voted to leave the European Union.
And I was there that night in Manchester. It was a historic moment. Would you support another one, another referendum in the next 10 years? According to new data, almost half of voters, including 1 in 5 leavers, believe we should vote again on rejoining the EU. How many Brexit voters really regret their decision? We'll look at that as well. And this man says he's going nowhere despite more charges against him.
I'm an innocent man. I'm an innocent person. They had the Mueller hoax, the Mueller report, and that came out. No collusion after 2.5 years. I'm innocent, and we will prove that very, very soundly and hopefully very quickly. Thank you very much.
There it is. It's the line he's never wavered from. But a court in Georgia has charged Donald Trump with election interference for trying to overturn the result back in 2020. It's the 4th charge against him. Can the comb-over king of Capitol Hill really survive this? We're live in Washington later in the programme. Everything you need to know, all the breaking news right here on TalkTV 0344 499 1000. Welcome to Afternoons. We tried to send the boats back, of course, in all manner of ways. We've tried to stop the boats. We've tried to legislate for the boats. We've tried to find cheaper accommodation for the people on the boats. We tried a barge. We tried Rwanda. We even suggested the Ascension Islands. It's time, I suppose, to look at all of the above and make a rather obvious conclusion. It is the immovable object, the proverbial brick wall, even allowing for the fact that Rishi Sunak's heart probably isn't really in it, and let's be honest, it isn't. We need something else. Macron said it wasn't entirely his decision, of course, in terms of how the French deal with this and other arrangements. It's more of an EU thing. So Rishi rang up the EU. The European Union told him the UK is not in a position to negotiate on this, and they are not going to negotiate a returns agreement for migrants arriving via unauthorised routes. This will mean that Britain is unlikely to be able to turn refugees arriving via small boats across the Channel back to France in the near future. And what Mr Sunak was trying to do was look for a kind of bilateral returns agreement with Paris. But as I mentioned, Mr Macron said, and he's a close ally, I think it's fair to say, of Rishi Sunak, said that any deal like this is something that would happen at EU level. You may remember during the UK-France summit back in March, he said any returns mechanism would not be an agreement just between the two countries, but an agreement between the UK and the wider EU. And there is the problem. Almost the gloves are off as far as some people are concerned. Should the UK now force this issue? And how would that happen in practice? 0344 499 1000 is literally returning those boats back with all the due care and attention that would be required to do that. Is that the only option? I mean, you can see the trouble coming round the corner if you tried this, but is that where we're now at on this one. Richard Tice earlier on TalkTV saying that backlog will reach over 200,000 by the time there is another election. Let's discuss this and more with George Pascoe-Watson, former political editor at The Sun, chairman of Portland Communications. George, good afternoon to you. Can you hear us okay, George? I think we have a little dodgy moment on the line there. We will get George back in fine verbal form. There was almost a cartoon speed-up voice moment there for a second. Comments already coming in from you. Kenny says this, Kenny in Edinburgh, no one wants migrants to die on the Channel, not you, not me, nobody, but the